Welcome back to the workshop. Now that we have a finished paint job, a fully assembled and painted helmet, we have one part we still have to make, and that's the visor. My favorite way, or one way to make a visor, is to start by making a template, which I've already done. I just basically stuck a piece of paper up inside, clamped it down, traced the opening right along here, and then I used a tape measure or a ruler to measure out from the traced opening to give myself the full size of the template. Now you do have to, like on this helmet, you have to measure this interior space because you want it to fit right up against that and maintain that opening. So that's what I've done. As far as visors go, one of my favorite visors or visor material to use is welding masks or welding face screens. They're super flexible and they are tinted green, and it's actually a material that was used in Star Wars and a lot of other sci-fi stuff. Stormtrooper eye lenses are made from this type of material, but I do not have enough to do a T-visor, so I'm just going to use a straight up piece of scrap plexi I got laying around the shop. I got a nice big piece right here. I should be able to, with no problem, trace out the visor and cut it out from this piece. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I got my trusty Sharpie out, and I'm just going to run right around this whole deal, this template. There we go. There's a template. Now we got it all traced out. Now we can cut it out. Now, to cut this out, I can use a Dremel. I can also use my favorite method, which is to scar it and snap it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by just taking this whole piece off right here, so I have a little more manageable piece. So just lightly scar it. Come back a little bit heavier. And a third time ought to be a charm. Oops. Try to stay up against your... There we go. There we go. Alright, there we go. One cutout T-visor. Now I got the T-visor cut out, I need to tint it. There is one way of tinting I've never tried and I always wanted to. I'm not going to in this case. Using dye. I've seen a lot of people use dye to get some really cool visor colors. In the future, I am going to try that because I do have some projects that require lens colors that you can't really find or buy. So that's something for in the future. But what I do have is I have some limousine tint, and I also have some reflective privacy tint that you can use in your house. This is kind of like the mirror tint. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to use this tint. Roll this out. Just need a piece big enough for this T-visor. There we go. Take the tint, put it to the side, roll this back up, put it away and keep it nice and protected for the future. There we go. Get that out of the way also. Got a nice piece of tint here. I'm not going to worry about trimming this out to fit right now. I can if I want to, but I'm just going to wait until I'm all done to trim it off. But before I go any further, it is dusty and dirty down here in the shop, and one thing that will definitely mess up a tint job is dust and dirt between your plastic or your glass and your tint. Also, when I scarred and snap these, it leaves a little bit of a lip. So I'm also going to take some fine sandpaper and sand the edges of the visor to smooth those down, because with that lip, that right here, as the tint comes up to it, it will cause a void, a space there, and it'll be a bubble, and you'll be able to see that. You want the tint to lay flat and be glued right along the edge all the way around. I'm gonna quickly grab a piece of sandpaper and get that edge taken care of. I'm gonna use a piece of 320 just to clean that edge up. I'm not sanding onto the surface, I'm sanding across the edge to take that lip off. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going to be sanding on the flat surface, so I shouldn't leave any scratches. All I'm doing is basically sanding the edge, taking that edge off. Doesn't take a whole lot, just a little bit. You can kind of run your thumb over it and you can feel that edge, whether it's raised or not. All right, that feels good. I'm pretty much ready to apply the tint, so I am going to take some glass cleaner and clean both sides really well to try to get rid of any and all dust. And of course, fingerprints also. Also now, I'm going to use some paper towel to, since this work area is a little bit dusty and dirty, and I've broken it off and cleaned it as best as possible. I want something very clean. I've just cleaned and wiped down what's going to be my exterior of my lens. So I'm going to get this clean, then I'm going to lay it down, and this is the side that's going to get the tint. This will be the interior side. And I'm going to do the same thing, quickly clean this off, getting rid of all the fingerprints and dust and dirt that might be on it, get it as clean as possible. So I don't want anything on this side at all. All right, now it's time for the tint. Now, doing the tint, I'm going to be using, I don't know where this came from. I think you can get this window film application solution. I think you can get this at like Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. I think that's where this came from. I actually have some professional body shop style transfer solution also. We used to put decals on the side of cars and stuff, and that works a little bit better. But I also do have a homemade solution. It's a formula that I got off of YouTube, off of a window tint guy. He makes his own. He makes it by the gallon. I use that too, and actually I think I do have that, but this is some stuff you can buy over the shelf at the hardware store in the window section, or window coverings, I think is where you'd find it, where you'd find your blinds and your shades and all that kind of stuff. I think that's where they have the window tint and the solution. So I'm just going to use what you can get at the hardware store. All right, here we go. Everything's clean, looks good, no dust. Now, on the window film, there is a sticky side and a plastic sheet, a protective sheet for the sticky side. I have a trick, I'll show you right quick. You take two pieces of tape, just like so, and you tape and you separate. And you can see how it separates the two halves. This saves you a lot of time and a lot of fuss doing this. So that's what I'm going to do right now to start separating this film. I'm going to get the film separation started. You see one piece of tape there, one piece of tape there, just like so. And then you just slowly peel the two pieces of tape back apart. And there you go, separating your two halves. All right, now I'm going to put the transfer solution down. You don't have to use a lot, just enough to dust and wet the surface. Now we'll separate our film. Now this stuff will curl back up on you, so when you get down to the end, you're going to have to grab it with your fingers. I think this is good. Now with that transfer solution, I still have the ability to scoot this around. All right. I don't have a squeegee or a professional squeegee, so what I took was an old gift card, and one side I put felt on it. So starting right here, we're going to work our way down. Work from the center out. squeegeeing all of that transfer fluid out. Now, this may take a while, especially with a transfer fluid that's a little more soapy, like it seems like this is. I think this is the first time I actually used that transfer fluid. That's been sitting here in the shop forever. But just keep working it out, working back and forth, just moving the material out, making sure you're pushing all your air bubbles and trying to push all that transfer fluid out. There we go. Starting to move out now.
Our microphone failed again. Yeah. And we knew we were having problems, and I was supposed to pay closer attention. So, once again, 2 episodes in a row. Here's a recap of what you're about to see without audio. First off, you will see me finishing getting the visor ready. I applied some transfer solution, then placed the visor tint in place and moved it around, made sure I got everything covered. And then I began to squeegee, and I squeegeed all the transfer solution out. Now, the transfer solution, its job is to allow you to take your tint or decal, if that's what you're doing, and allow you to place it onto a surface and slide it into position. And this also keeps you from having air bubbles, or part of this is to help you remove air bubbles in the process of squeegeeing out that solution. The stuff I use at work, I can't remember the brand, but it works better. And the reason why this didn't work the way I'd hoped it would work, it does not evaporate very fast. So on the corners, I was having to continuously squeegee out the corners, and they just stayed wet and didn't want to stick. So actually what I ended up doing was taking a break for about an hour, and then I came back and then I squeegeed them down and they stuck down good. You will see me heating and shaping the visor to fit into the helmet, and that worked out really good. Also, you will also see me hot gluing the visor into the helmet. So enjoy all that footage with no audio. And here we go, a finished, completed helmet, even with a rangefinder installed. Now, we did have a little bit of an issue. I kind of overheated the visor during installation, during the shaping process, and I may have caused the tint to wrinkle. So, but it's kind of growing on me. When I first noticed it, I was like, oh, that's all. And now I'm looking at it, it kind of gives it a really cool look. I don't know. You guys look at it, tell me what you think in the comments. Should I redo the visor, or does it kind of give it its own little character? I mean, the rest of the helmet's beat to heck, so tell me what you think. Anyway, thank you for joining us here, and I hope you had fun. I had a great time doing this, and let's get ready for the next project. See you next time.